Name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Rob Dirrell.
And today we're going to recap this past Saturday's Golovkin versus Monroe Jr. match, and then we're going to preview this Saturday's Dirrell versus DeGale that's going to be on NBC. So let's start with HBO. We had two really good fights on there. Two very good, very technical fighters who got to showcase their skills and some skills that are lacking in a lot of other fighters. We're talking about Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez and Gennady Golovkin. And we're going to start off with the Gonzalez fight because we just told you guys to look out for it. We didn't really talk about it because we hadn't seen a lot of them. But now that we have seen them, that dude's the truth. There's
a lot to be excited about with Chocolatito.
Yes.
Because we've heard he's on YouTube. He fought a lot in Japan. You know, he's one of those little guys. I think this was at 112. Yeah, 112. So it's not really a big division, no pun intended. But when this guy came out, he showed you why he needs to be on American television. And that's exactly what happened. This was his American debut, and it was well worth it because what you got was a 2-round destruction with great technique and very good power punching. I mean, he went after Edgar Sosa, who was a former sparring partner of his, and
a former multi-division world champ.
Exactly, and just took him out. And I meant this guy, he was patient, he was able to cut off the ring, and Edgar Sosa did try to keep stay active, keep his hands moving to keep such a good puncher off of him. But we saw that where that got him, and and the second round knockout.
Yeah, I mean, Gonzalez was very sharp. Like Rob said, he cut off the ring. That's one of those skills that a lot of people do not have. For some reason, I don't know.
Against a guy who was moving.
Yes, he was moving. He couldn't move because he was getting the ring cut off on him. And that's why he ended up getting the knockout. Now let's move on to the next fight. Because whenever Gonzalez fights again, we're going to watch it. They were talking about Naoya Inoue. And I think he's at 115, so that would be Gonzalez's fourth weight class. If they can make that fight, Inoue is undefeated. I think he's like 8-0. He's already a champ this early.
Yeah.
So that's another guy to look out for. We're gonna try and get some footage on him so we can, if they make that fight, we can make a good little preview video for you guys. But let's move on to the main event where we had Gennady Golovkin going against Willie Monroe Jr. And this fight kind of went the way we said so in the preview video, even down to the amount of rounds it would last. But some of the action that happened in the ring was a little surprising. We had Monroe actually staying right in front of Golovkin and having some success for a couple rounds. He might have won maybe 1 or 2 of those rounds, but he had some success. Let him know about that, Rob.
I mean, he was really able to land flush on Triple G. And unfortunately, what Triple G said and then what his coach said is that he might have prolonged the fight and tried to give, the fans more of what they wanted. I'm going to call BS because
I was going to say the same thing.
Because Willie Monroe, even though he was knocked down 3 times,
yes,
he came to fight, and he made a great showing of himself, especially with such a huge jump in competition from boxing on ESPN to primetime lights to HBO.
Yeah. He had very fast hands, and we all know that Golovkin can be hit. The only problem was he couldn't really hurt Golovkin, but he did something that is impressive to judges, which is snapping that head back.
Mm-hmm.
He might not have hurt Golovkin, but he made him have to reset quite a few times by landing some sharp, crisp punches that snapped Golovkin's head back. Now, Golovkin responded in kind, and we all know his punches hurt a lot more.
That's right.
Once again, we saw cutting off the ring on display. We saw some precise punching from both guys. And both guys had a very, very good punch selection. They varied up their punches. They varied up their combinations. It wasn't just, I'm just going to throw a 1-2-3 or 2-3-2 and blah, blah, blah. They pulled the whole arsenal out, and they both needed it.
Now, what I will say about this, and this is as good as he is I guess my only knock on Golovkin, because there's really no one else that he can fight in the division except maybe Cotto and Quillen and Andy Lee, and I would even see they'll probably put him in there with Korobov eventually, because
whoever signs on the dotted line.
Yeah, because the competition is running down and is running out, and it's only those guys. We know Korobov got knocked out by Andy Lee, so we know he can't be knocked out. It's like
anybody who gets hit in the face.
Yeah, but the thing is, he tends to. I saw him load up, and I saw it in when he was hitting the mitts with Abel Sanchez, who was a very good boxing trainer.
Yeah, very good.
He actually one of the probably top 10, top 15, depending on who you rank high to low. But he tends to he kind of really loaded up on some of those punches, and I'm like, that's not what we're used to seeing with him. We're seeing those sharp punching, powerful punches. For if it's loading up, someone who actually has some power and can take advantage could make it a very long day for Triple G. But again, it's someone who has fast hands, a good chin, and can really get off first. And again, you have to have a good chin. So
and that's kind of in short supply in the middleweight division.
Now, if he's talking about going up, that will be something that he may want to keep in mind if he decides to go up to 168.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Great performance from Golovkin. We're excited to see who he fights next. Hopefully, eventually one of these other name guys puts their name on the dotted line and we can really see what he's made of. All right, so with that in mind, we're going to go into this Saturday's main event, which is at 4:30 in the afternoon Eastern Time on NBC.
So if you like me, get your DVR ready.
Yeah. And we have in this fight where it's for a vacant title, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's Andre Dirrell versus James DeGale. I was about to say Anthony. Anthony just fought Badu Jack. And in this fight, you've got a talented switch hitter in Dirrell who kind of shows up differently in each fight. Like, you don't know what Dirrell you're going to get. And James DeGale he's a pretty solid guy. He's got some decent speed, got some decent power, got some decent technique. And I think the fight really comes down to what Andre Dirrell shows up.
And remember, both DeGale is an Olympic gold medalist. That I wasn't aware of until earlier.
Dirrell has a bronze medal,
correct? Yeah, and Dirrell has a bronze medal.
So the pedigree of these guys is very high. Now,
and both of them only have one loss. Yes, both of them only have one loss. One to Carl Froch, one to George Groves.
Yes, and those are two good guys to have a loss against. It wasn't like they took a loss on the come up or got exposed or some BS like that. A lot of people think Dirrell won the Carl Froch fight. I was one of those people, but it didn't go his way.
And
so
against Groves, Groves got the majority decision versus DeGale.
Yes, so that means one of the judges thought it was even. I haven't watched that fight in full. I always watch like clips and then end up watching something else. I'm sorry. But Dirrell is in for a fight. Even if the best Dirrell shows up, he's in for a fight. I think this is going to be one of those fights that goes the distance. But expect a lot of sharp punches from both guys. It might end up looking just like Anthony's fight with Badu Jack, where both guys are sharp, hard punchers. And what's the other fight that Peter Quillen and Andy Lee. This is probably going to be a chess match. It's going to be suspenseful. It's going to be another adjective, not synonym for suspenseful. It probably won't be a lot of action. If you like the blood and guts, lots of punches landed, you missed that for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You got those in those fights. This is going to be for like people who like to see foot positioning and defense, and
you're going to see all the tools brought out on this fight.
Yeah. You might see a few exchanges, but not many.
I think, well, in looking back to the Groves fight, I want to point that one out. Groves was probably the most athletic, even over Daya Davis and
most definitely.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the guys that he's fought and over Brandon Gonzalez. Dirrell is the best fighter that DeGale has fought.
Yeah.
He's also the most athletic fighter since Groves, which is about 6 or 7 fights back. So he's going to see that speed. He's going to see that movement. Dirrell has really good pop. What Dirrell is going to see is more so someone in the vein of who he fought, which was Carl Froch. Again, guys that he's lost to. Guys who are tough, decent counter punchers.
Not quite as fast, but physically strong with pop.
And very selective with their punch output. What I see DeGale, I can't really see him leading the exchanges, but I can see him finishing them. I can see him counter punching Dirrell as he comes in. If he can weather those punches that Dirrell's going to throw. I think Dirrell's going to really utilize the ring. I see DeGale following him. If he can cut off the ring, he'll have success. If he's following him, then it's just gonna be Dirrell from the outside the whole time. I can't really see Dirrell power punching him. I can really just see him pot shotting him, throwing 2-3 jab, and maybe following up with the right. DeGale's gonna have to time his punching as the fight wears on. Because if we remember, Dirrell versus Froch, Dirrell was actually the front runner in that fight, and you could see Froch coming on toward the end of the fight.
As he started to slow down.
Exactly.
Same thing with Arthur Abraham. I mean, he was giving Arthur Abraham a boxing lesson until he started to tire a little bit. And then Abraham started to put hands on him.
He's going to have to fight the entire 12 rounds.
Yeah, and also another thing that we've been seeing lately, I mean, this has been against very, very, very limited competition. Dirrell standing right in front of guys. Now, if he does that, this fight will be a little bit more interesting because he relies more on his reflexes, being able to move out of the way of punches rather than blocking and slipping punches. So there is a chance for DeGale to punch with Dirrell and have some success. So that is what we're going to look for. Like I said earlier, which Dirrell shows up? Is it going to be the Dirrell that is right in front of you and using his length, or is it going to be the one that uses a lot of movement to catch you and you can't catch him? Sort of like what he did with Curtis Stevens as well. Curtis Stevens was a big puncher, and Dirrell never stopped moving that fight and just pot shotted him all night. And when Stevens tried to reply, he was already gone. We got to figure out which Dirrell shows up. I think either way he still wins. But if the Dirrell that stands in the pocket shows up, it may be a little bit closer.
Yeah, I can see this coming out to be a draw. Easy. Just because of their styles and who they fought.
Yeah, especially the way Dirrell fades late. We can see DeGale coming on later on in the fight. And that's when the fight will start getting exciting as Dirrell tires.
Yeah, look forward about anywhere from the 5th to 7th round. You'll really see where they're going to be at toward the rest of the fight.
Yeah.
Now I know DeGale's trying to fight, Badu Jack's fighting the winner of this fight. Am I mistaken?
I think that is possible.
But I know Dirrell wants to fight Carl Froch again too.
Yeah, but Carl Froch he only wants the big mega fight. Otherwise, I think he's going to just retire.
But it could be there because if I'm not mistaken, this is in Boston?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know why I thought it was in England, but I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone from England is going to be watching this fight. And they may be calling for a fight of Dirrell versus Froch, a rematch.
Yeah. I don't think Andre Dirrell wants to go back over to England because that's where he went the first time and he ended up losing.
Right.
So I don't think that match is going to happen.
Unless there's a lot of money on the table.
Right. So that's what we're looking for this week. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this video. If you are not a subscriber, subscribe to this channel, and you can see all of our updates. We got our combat mailbag, which we do have a few questions for, which should be coming out pretty soon. We answer the fans' questions. We have our technical toolbox. We teach you a little something about the sweet science. And we had a couple kickboxing videos as well. Anyway, you can hit us up on Facebook, Capital of Combat, Google+, same name. You can hit us up on our email, capitalofcombat@gmail.com. Like we said, if you got any questions, hit the comment section or any of those platforms. We'll get you in the combat mailbag. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
This is round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire, I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage, keep thinking that it's a game. I kick crime, hurricane. I told them I don't play, I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.